The Layout category of the Insert panel is the new home for HTML5 semantic tags that are designed to give your pages a more meaningful structure. The same options are also available on the Insert menu in the Layout submenu. And right down at the bottom here, if you're still using frames, this is the only place in Dreamweaver where frames are still accessible. But frames are not part of HTML5, so I suggest that you ignore that, but it's there in case you need it. Now I'm going to use the Insert panel, but it doesn't matter whether you use the Insert panel or the Insert menu, they both open the same dialog box. What I'm going to do is to create a page, a very simple page called semantic.html. So I'll save that as semantic. Just give it a little title. Right, I'm going to start off with a div, which is very familiar from previous versions of Dreamweaver. We use a div and then the ID will be wrapper, and I want it to go at the insertion point. I'm not going to bother with CSS rules. I've actually created a style sheet which I'm going to add a little bit later. So just click OK, and then I'm going to delete that placeholder text and then use a semantic tag header, and I'm going to give that an ID of banner and just click OK. I want it at the insertion point, so that's fine. And you can see that it works in exactly the same way as inserting a div. We've got the header tag in here with its ID and the placeholder text, but it works exactly the same way. So instead of just that placeholder text, I'm going to put in a heading, and I'll use the name of my own website, which is Foundation PHP, and I'll just change that into a heading 1. Now my website has a tagline which is getting the best out of Dreamweaver and PHP, and it actually goes before the main heading. Now normally in HTML you wouldn't be able to put something before your H1. What I'm going to do here is just put my insertion point in there and go up one level, and I'm going to create a heading level 2 and put my little tagline in there. Now, HTML5 has a new semantic tag called hgroup, which enables me to put the main heading and the tagline together. So I'm going to select both the heading 1 and the heading 2, select hgroup, and Dreamweaver said wrap around the selection. That's exactly what I would like. I don't need a class or an ID. I'm just going to click OK. And you can see that my H1 and H2 are now inside an hgroup element inside the header. So next, some navigation. I'll select navigation here, and it says insert wraparound selection. I don't want it around the selection. I want it after a particular tag, so I'll select that and then select header ID banner. And I don't need to give it a class or an ID. I'll just click OK. And there is my new navigation tag in there, nav. My next element needs to go after that, so I'm going to press my right arrow key once to move outside of the nav tag, and I'm going to put in an article, and I'll give that an ID of main, and then it will be at the insertion point, so click OK. And then I want an aside, so I'll select aside. I don't want to wrap it around the selection. It will be after the tag, and it will go after my main article, and I'll call that sidebar and click OK. And then finally I want a footer. Select that. I don't want it around the selection. It will be after a tag, and it will be after the sidebar. I don't need a class or an ID, and then just click OK. So I very quickly inserted my HTML5 semantic tags. They're here inside the code view with header, an hgroup, nav, article, aside, and footer. just make it look a little bit prettier, I'll attach a style sheet, and it's there, styles semantic.css. Click OK, and there we are. So that was a very quick demonstration of inserting HTML5 semantic tags using the layout category of the Insert panel, and the same options are on the Layout submenu of the Insert menu. The procedure is identical to inserting an ordinary div tag. The dialog box lets you choose where to insert the tag, and it has options to add a class and/or ID. And when you've completed your layout, you can replace the placeholder text with your own content.